Hi, Mike DePong here, and I hope you're with me today to maybe stay informed about the release of my upcoming short volume of poetry. It has to do with nature, with trees in particular, and I want you to understand something about the way I believe, and I'm not imposing this. Nobody has to believe like I believe, obviously, um, but I do believe I believe that our relationship to nature, to the environment, to the ecosystem, to species, to organic and inorganic matter um, shows something, says something about who we are as individuals, who we are as a race, a society, a culture. Here's the deal. I want to talk about love because it all has to do with love. And these poems are an expression of my love. But my love, along with other expressions of love, are is not always nice and sweet and light because true love means being who we are without compromise. Unconditional love doesn't mean I do whatever you want to prove that I love you. No, unconditional love is I'm who I am. And if you choose to step into my sphere, then you are loved unconditionally because I'm being who I am. I believe personally that the Big Bang was the driving force of it was love. It was the energy of love. And therefore, to my way of thinking, and to those who think like me, mystic shamans, um, whatever it is, those who understand the intricacies of the realms seen and unseen that are all around us, um, that uh, that means if the explosive force of the Big Bang was love, that means that every atom, every subatomic particle is infused with love. And that means that all of nature expresses love, is love. It doesn't get to choose like we do, though. The trees, the rocks, the organic and inorganic matter, it doesn't choose. It just is. It is what it is. And we get to choose, though. We have ego or heart as operating systems. Heart chooses love. Ego chooses self-love that excludes others. And it does it in a multiplicity of very complex ways. And I've dealt with that in other areas, other places, and not even as extensively as I fully believe. But here's the deal. My love expressed in this book of poems, in a few days, you're going to get to hear the title and let me know what you think of it. But these poems, some of them express love as understanding and light and wisdom that is shared. And sometimes the wisdom that is shared is, hey, wake the F up. Wake up and realize what's going on. And the way we treat nature is oftentimes reflective of the way we treat one another. And we better be listening to what the trees have to say, to what the rocks have to say. If you have never read Maya Angelou's On the Pulse of Morning, I would urge you to because you see the spirit nature of of a rock, a river, and a tree speaking and telling mankind what they have witnessed throughout history. And it's pretty powerful. I wish I wrote as powerfully as Maya Angelou did. But I want to share part of one of my poems that is reflective of what happened in this country yesterday and what is happening in general over the past year. Um, and well, maybe I'll make a few comments on it. I don't usually do that. Poets don't usually do that. Um, and it's sad that today there are not many who actually read poems that think more deeply than just the words that are there. And don't think about the illusions that are there. So I'm going to probably name a few of the illusions that I have purposely included in this poem. And so here are the first page, just a short bit of this poem that I wrote. That's going to be in my upcoming volume, called Genocide of the Trees. Genocide of the Trees. It began simply enough to those not paying attention to dull, heedless humans, those slow to hear. The trees knew something was amiss, but not that some humans had death in their souls when the trees received the shock of bitterly cold orange spray paint in a bullseye circle prominent on their ancient trunks. Maybe it was as much a badge as a bullseye. The dull humans paid little attention. Few asked questions about the marked trees. The trees, though, had many questions, felt the badges, sensed the targeting, but they didn't know. The oaks of wisdom were stumped, the apples and pears of fruitfulness were barren, nor did any of those marked fully understand. Comprehension of betrayal lay beyond their knowledge, for they shared their energies faithfully for collective centuries. No deceit, no threats. The day came when the trucks delivered the army that began the relentless slaughter. The cracking of the shocked branches like crystal shattering in the still, silky, guiltless night. And I'm going to leave off reading there. Uh, this poem was written, I wrote it occasioned by the elimination of a bunch of trees, which I've talked about this before. And actually, in another video, I read this, although I've revised it for my book pretty extensively. Um, uh, when trees in the neighborhood, old trees that were here for many decades, some probably longer than that, uh, because they were so inconsiderately raising sidewalk slabs. And instead of breaking out the sidewalk slabs and maybe shaving the roots and uh, re pouring concrete or some other solution, because there are many roots to trees, especially the older trees. Um, they just, they're in the way, they're inconvenient. They don't suit my purpose. Maybe they're in my field of view, so I can't see whatever. So you just cut it down. You eliminate it. Humans do this to one another. It's happening now in the United States. It happens in other nations. Inconvenient, eliminate. Mark them. It happened about 60 years ago, 65 years ago, in very harsh ways, in beginning with um, Nazi Germany and Hitler. And here's an illusion that I would like you to look up. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to do a research study for you here. But when I mentioned the badges, maybe it was as much a badge as a bullseye, and that the trees felt the badges, but they didn't understand the deeper implications. In Nazi Germany and the concentration camps, and sometimes even before in some of the other nations, they had a system of badges that immediately the German soldiers knew classified people as just a category, a thing, not a human being. There were red, there were different color badges. I think there were six colors, and the way they were pointed up or down, and combination of colors or outlines or letters classified them as Jews or Jews from Poland, Jews from Hungary, or conscientious objectors, or people of color or of mixed race. They had badges for all these people. And these people were expendable. These people were to be eliminated from society in camps, and then sometimes through death, or about 7 million times through death, maybe a little less than that, but right at that. And the badges dehumanized. I want to just quickly think of the badges that are used today. The Supreme Court gave the right back in September to law enforcement, especially the ICE agents, to be able to uh, use an unofficial badge, somebody's skin color would be enough, or um, their accents or choice of language would be enough to be a badge for them to say, we get to stop you, detain you, or arrest you without due process, without legal cause, except for the Supreme Court changed it. Those are people then, the six justices who uh, agreed to that, who passed that in a shadow docket type setting, not type, in a shadow docket setting, which means they didn't have to give any kind of explanation except say, this is the way it's going to be. The three dissenting ones, who of course were the those who could think liberally and could care about human beings on a much greater level, um, they knew the problems that this would cause. And yesterday was a good example of this kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't fomented by skin color in this case, but it was part of this whole crazy, warped effort. And that tells me that those who think like that and think that that's okay, you're operating an ego to me, in my estimation. And I'm not saying that you're wrong to think like you do, but what I can tell you unequivocally is you are not living for the purpose that you came here to live, to understand life, to enjoy it. This is love. You need to hear something about who and what we are as human beings. If you think that you can put badges on people and eliminate those or set them aside or send them to camps or prisons because they don't match up to the way we think, you think, act, believe, are completely bow to, then you're not living in love. That is all implied in this poem. And if you would read through the whole poem, which I hope you will be able to, you would get that. And then I have another allusion here at the end of the last few lines, when these trucks came, these tree elimination guys, these trimmers, cutter downers, they come and they just start one morning very early. It was barely light. You just heard it all start, just the sawing and everything. And I mentioned the cracking of the shocked branches like crystal shattering in the still, silky, guiltless night. It's like Kristallnacht, where all the stores, all the edifices, the stores of the Jews were just destroyed by the Nazis. You make sure that people are crushed, that they are oppressed. If you serve, well, I'm not going to preach. You apply it to yourselves, whoever you read it. And maybe you're here saying, yeah, good. Way to go, Mike. Um, great. Then operate in love. I have love for those who don't think like I do. But my love will be expressed in letting you know the dangers of thinking the way you do because it presents danger to other people that I love. It presents dangers to who you are. It presents a danger to you personally of not experiencing all you came here to experience. Wake up, awaken to your heart, say yes to your heart, and start realizing that you are an expression of divinity. You are an expression uh, of spirit and in a body in spirit, in essence. And start acting like it towards everybody. Doesn't mean you love everything. It doesn't mean I love everybody, love everything about everybody, but it does mean that you seek to understand. It does mean that you don't seek to degrade or eliminate or separate anybody who's not like you. My book of poetry. I mean, this happens. This is a poem about the way people treat trees, our nature, and it says a lot about who we are. And the other ones about the trees, well, you'll see, I hope, when it comes out. Um, I hope that you will think deeply about the poems when you read them for yourselves, and um, that you will be turned to your own heart and enjoy your own heart and enjoy this life here for all that you came here to know and to enjoy. So until next time, maybe tomorrow, love and peace.